How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, our podcast is about your journey in music
Mhm.
and how you got to where you are today. I know you're obviously an actor as well. We can talk a little bit about that, but yeah, we want to focus really on your music career and your
Yeah,
record coming out.
cool.
Sweet. So, Alexa, tell me about where did you grow up?
I grew up in Los Angeles. I was born and raised in LA.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Both my parents are from way out of America. My mom's from Mexico
Uh huh.
and my dad is from Egypt, and they were both born in their respective countries.
Wow. How did they
Yeah.
meet?
I think my mom was studying at UCLA at the time, and she was walking or something, and my dad was driving and he saw her and like turned his car around and asked her out. It's what she says. I mean, he has a completely different story, so I'm not sure what I'm supposed to believe.
Sure.
But yeah, they met like that, and it was weird growing up. It was very different, two very different cultures.
Sure. And you grew up in LA. How did you get into music?
My mom put me in piano lessons when I was really young, and
Okay.
I mean, typical mom thing to do, get your kid to do everything and anything.
Hmm.
Um, so I started doing classical piano when I was 5,
Wow.
and I kept up with it for a while. I mean, I still play the piano, but I'm not as proficient as I was before.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I kept writing. I kept doing lessons and all that kind of stuff. And I started writing music, just like trying to write like little stupid songs here and there.
Hmm.
It wasn't until my parents split that I like took music seriously. That's when like I kind of just dove deep into music and used it as a way to just an outlet, I
like,
guess, everything.
yeah, like a coping mechanism. Like, do you remember what really drew you into the music?
Yeah, it was like I could write all these sad things and no one would think anything of it because it was a song, you
Sure.
know?
That's a good point.
It's like I don't have to talk to anyone about it. Writing these songs is making me feel a lot better and just kind of getting over everything that's going on. So I kept doing that, and it it became my coping mechanism with everything, like
Hmm.
writing music. And at first the songs were terrible. I mean, I rhyme like cat and hat and sad and just really stupid things. But I guess as I kept writing and trying to get better at it, the songs started to like come together.
Hmm.
My mom heard some music that I was playing on the piano, and she found this producer for me to start working with, and his name is Umberto Gatica.
Okay.
He's done he was on Michael Jackson's Thriller album. He did
Wow.
all of Celine Dion stuff.
Wow.
Michael Bublé, Josh Groban, who else? Um, I mean, he's an older producer, so I worked with him for a little bit, and I recorded like 7 songs with him that I've only released 2 of those. Um, but yeah, recorded with him for a little bit, and he kind of uh, built me up a little bit,
Hmm.
built my confidence with the music, got me to a way better place singing and all that than I was before meeting him.
Were you fairly young at this time?
I was about 17 when I met him,
Okay.
and the songs that I recorded with him were songs I had written around like
Hmm.
16, 17, and then I wrote a couple while I was working with him. Um, but yeah, I was pretty young, and I don't think we actually like we had a lot of plans, I guess, when we were doing it, but nothing ever panned out.
Hmm.
So I just started releasing the music on my own, and then I after not working with him for a little while, I signed to UTA, and they introduced me to this guy named John London,
Hmm.
who um who did the whole EP that I'm releasing.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how'd you get signed and how did that relationship start?
I got signed to UTA for acting, and at the time I was with another agency, and this all happened during quarantine.
Oh,
So
really? So this is all very new.
super, super new. I thought it was time to switch agencies. People were getting laid off, and all the agents that I knew weren't at the agency anymore.
Hmm.
Like, oh, well, this might be my chance just to kind of go to a bigger agency and do that. And UTA was interested, and that was like a dream come true. I mean, I've wanted to be with UTA since I was a little kid. So I signed with them, and then And then I told them that I wanted to do music, and they started pushing for it a lot. Like they sent me producers, they guided me, they told me what to do and all that kind of stuff. And they've just been really amazing with everything. I mean, that's what I was
Mhm.
at my quarantine, was recording this EP.
Wow, that's cool. So you went to UTA as an actor, and then when you got signed to them, it's kind of when you discussed your music career.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So tell me about writing this record in quarantine. How did that all happen? You said you had a producer, and I
I
want to
did
hear this story.
that. Mm, so this record is actually really different because none of the songs I did with him were songs that I had already written. Like I would come in
Oh.
with an idea and we would co-write it. And obviously for me writing songs, like I'm super into doing sad music, and I have to get myself out of that, because if it's up to
Mhm.
me, I'm just going to write a sad ballad on the piano, and then that's that. But he was so good at getting me out of my shell and doing something different. So I would go in. um, Daniel McCartney, the guy at UTA, put me in contact with John, and the first session that I went in with John, we just sat down and he talked. He's like, all right, what do you want the song to be about? What are you feeling right now? What's going on in your life? What do you want to talk about? And all that kind of stuff. And I told him, I was like, I just feel like I'm getting in my own way a lot. So I feel like I'm just constantly just expecting way too much, when in reality it's like it's not needed, all that stress and all that kind of stuff. And that's when we came up with a song, Can't Stop Myself.
Okay.
Yeah, which is basically saying like, just let go, stop freaking out about everything, just let things happen the way they're supposed to happen.
Mhm.
uh, and that was like the first non-love song that I'd written in a while, which was kind of cool.
And
uh,
that's the first single also, right?
yeah, it was the first single. And the whole EP is kind of like an introduction to myself. It's just
Okay.
kind of like a, hey, I'm Alexa, and I'm struggle with all these things, but this is also me, and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
um, and then next single we're releasing is called Baggage, and I just got a message that I think it comes out November 27th.
Cool.
So the song that's coming out is, I wrote it when I was with my ex-boyfriend, which is like a red flag right there, that I started writing a song about like breaking up and like not meeting what was happening and all that. But the song's called Baggage, and I remember writing it because I was dating a musician and he was always leaving on tour.
Mhm.
And the song initially was supposed to be super sad. The opening lyrics were, waking up, your bags are packed. I dry my eyes to hide the cracks of a forever you and me, or something. It was really, really sad, just like the
Mhm.
melody too. Bring it to the studio, and John's like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna do something with this. It is a full on like pop song. And I mean, I was not used to it. I heard it and I was like, I can't have this on the EP. This isn't me. This isn't me. And everyone was like, no, no, we're gonna release this next because it's got potential. And I'm just there like
So is that the only pop track on
Mm.
the record?
um there's another song called Brick Wall that has a little bit of like pop in there, but for the most part they're I'm very, very, very inspired by Banks and Halsey
Oh,
and
cool.
Black, and who else? This guy named Dermot Kennedy. I don't know if you know who
Yeah, I
that
know
is.
him. Yeah.
Um, and I recently met this guy, Sam Fender.
Okay,
Um,
I know who that is
and
too.
then I was listening to some of his music. He is so good. He
Mhm.
is like his music, all that, like those. I like to take elements from all those artists, and I'm just not like a pop artist. I think, I don't know, I want people to feel something really, really intense when they listen to the music. And for me, there's certain instruments and certain melodies that make that happen,
Mhm.
and even for like the words that I'm saying and stuff. But yeah, no, so yeah, that was the only pop song, Baggage and Brick Wall. And the rest of them, they're not slower, but they're more like in the Banks, Halsey
Okay.
kind of vibe.
Very cool. Very cool. And how are you? Did you go to the studio with him during this to write? Like, how did that all happen? You didn't have to do it
Yeah.
over Zoom, did you?
Oh, gee, no, no, no,
Okay.
no. That would not work. I've been like, I mean, I've been trying to do that now because I'm not in LA, but no, I was really safe about it. The only person that I was seeing was my best friend at the time.
Hmm.
And my mom, my sister weren't really leaving the apartment, and he was not leaving his house. So he had the studio in his house,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
yeah, I would just drive over, and I would pretty much only see him when he was there. So it worked out. Uh, it Yeah, it was a nice way to get out of my house and do something productive.
Yeah. So you just go over there and you have an idea and you guys would collaborate and see kind of what came of it.
Yeah, pretty much. Unless like something happened the week before or something, then I would go in there like knowing I wanted to write about that.
Okay.
And
Sure.
there's one song on the EP called Closure, which was like my back and forth battle with my ex for a really long time. And I wrote that song, and I remember like telling John everything that I wanted to get out in that song, like everything that I wanted to say to that person and him to know. And it came out like, I think that was the first time that I've like cried when I've heard a song of mine.
Oh,
Cause I,
really?
yeah, it was just like, it was exactly what I wanted it to be. And that's such an amazing feeling when I hate listening to myself, and like listening to it made me so happy.
Yeah. Is it like a sad song or was it kind of like a,
Yeah, it's pretty
just get it
sad.
out there and
It's it's pretty sad. It's just kind of like it's one of those songs that's just saying, uh, I know how bad all of this is for me, but for some reason I keep going back to it.
Mhm.
And it's just in a way trying to tell myself or anyone who's going through a breakup or in that vicious cycle, just saying that like you're worth so much more than whatever it is you're doing right there,
Mhm.
and you could totally get out of it. And that song definitely helped me a lot with a lot of things. So yeah,
What's that track called?
that one's Closure.
Oh yeah, Closure. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
it's all
right
good.
on. Rad. I want to go
Mhm.
back a little bit. So when you were, writing these songs, you talked about when your parents got divorced, that's when you
Mhm.
started really writing. Were you performing at all? Like, have you performed in front of people as far as music goes?
Yeah, I have. I've done a couple little shows.
Okay,
I
I want
did.
to hear about those.
My very first show was at the Viper Room when
Wow, that's cool.
I was 16, and my mom hired a whole band. I would go to there's not a recording, a rehearsal studio, a rehearsal place on Santa Monica Boulevard in
Hmm.
West Hollywood. I can't remember the name of it, but um I would go there and rehearse every day after school with this band, and go there, and then we had the Vibe Room show, and I wasn't 21, so I had to go in like right before I performed.
Sure.
And the second that I was done, there were people like after me, and I wanted to hear them. So I ran to the bathroom, and I was like, okay, maybe if I hide in the bathroom and I peek out, I can like listen to everyone else perform. No, it didn't work. I had someone came into the bathroom, was like, you have to get out. And I was like,
Oh.
fine, okay. Um, so I did that, and then just like a couple little shows. I had a friend that would set up these little parties for the sole purpose that her and other musicians could perform. And I did a couple of those, but nothing super serious. I think I'm actually pretty scared of performing, if I'm
Really?
being honest. Yeah.
Even more so than like I would think because you're so used to being in front of a camera and people and like acting and stuff. I would think it would be easier, but I guess yeah, I guess not. There's totally
I
different aspects to
it's
it.
like it's like the same thing. Like I'm scared of theater too, because you only have that one shot.
Oh,
You're
sure.
there, and it's like, at least when you're acting and there's cameras around and you mess up a line or something, you can cut and you can do it
Mhm.
again.
Right. Because it's
Like being
live. This is like a live thing you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so bad at like connecting with the audience. I tend to like close my eyes a lot when I sing, and I'm very like disconnected from everything.
Well, with that Viper Room show, what songs were you playing? Just stuff that you had written prior?
That was Those were songs that I wrote when I was like 15 and 14.
And
They
you
were
just taught them to this band?
well, what happened was I was working with this personal trainer, and I was telling him that I like to do music. And he was like, oh, well, I know a guy that can produce music for you. And this was before meeting that other producer, Umberto.
Yeah, okay.
So he was like, oh, well, I have a producer that can do songs for you and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I wrote songs about like my grandparents' anniversary, and my little sister had a friend that passed away when she was really young, and I wrote a song about that. And I hadn't really gone through much besides my parents' divorce at the time, so like no breakups, no nothing. So I was just kind of writing about things that were happening around me. And I went to this producer and he helped me get the songs done. And I took this little demo to this band and I was like, can you guys play this for me? And like the second after hearing it, they were able to do it right off the bat. And yeah, we did the Viper Room. And after that, the band broke up. We
Oh.
never hung out again, you know, as they do when you're 16 and have to finish high school. But yeah, that from a personal trainer. Viper Room, that's it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you did that show, and then you did a couple other like little DIY things your friend set up.
Yeah, little DIY things. And like I'm not very good at performing and singing. Like when I'll write the songs myself on the piano, but I'll usually have artists come in and play the music for me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I did those little shows, the guy that was playing the piano when I was working with Umberto, he
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh, I'll do it for you. I already know the song," so he would go and play for me. And yeah, just like little shows where it's like you'd go, I'd play 3 songs, the whole party would be in tears, and then I'd move on.
That's cool. Well, like, do you have, if quarantine weren't happening currently, would touring or playing live be something you'd want to do, or is it just kind of you'd
I
rather
would
just
love
record it and let it be there?
I would love to do shows. I
Okay.
definitely would love to do like I've had friends who perform at a hotel cafe and I thought the Roxy would be a good place and
Mm-hmm.
I my schedule was so hectic before quarantine that I don't know if I would have had the time to do it. Like if quarantine hadn't happened, I highly doubt this EP would have even happened
Oh wow.
because I'm in Canada right now and during March I was working on the same show.
Mm-hmm.
But when COVID happened, everything got pushed. So I should have been here in Vancouver till about May. And then I would have left for Virginia to go finish The Walking Dead in June.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
So you're in Canada working on a different, totally different show than the Walking
yeah.
Dead show.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So
Yeah, it's cool.
so you've been busy, obviously, even though
Yeah.
quarantine happened.
Really, really busy. It's kind of crazy. I never expected my life to become this just insane.
Like, yeah, it's crazy. Were you were shooting during when quarantine first kicked in? Like, were you in
Yeah,
LA or where were
I
you
was in
at?
Vancouver.
Oh, you were in Vancouver when that
Yeah.
happened.
I had to come back here to do another another episode of the show. And this was when people were like starting to wear masks and be a little bit scared of each other and not
Uh-huh.
get too close. But there weren't any like rules. And so I told my manager, I was like, I don't know if I feel safe doing this right now. Because I mean, everywhere else seems to be freaking out. And I feel like the
Right.
US is the only place that's like, oh no, we're fine. We're good. And I was like, and he's like, no, but you have to go finish the episode. So I come and then we realized like things got really, really bad. So I came home and did not get to finish the episode. I think I only had like 1 day left on it. But because
Oh
of what was
wow.
going on, I just like come straight back to LA. And I'm glad. I don't think I would have wanted to be stuck here alone.
Right. I was gonna
Um,
ask if you were still there, like if you haven't got to go home yet, but that's good to know that
yeah. I got to go home for a bit and then came back here and had to quarantine again for 2 weeks.
you
Yeah.
Wow. And then now you guys are obviously able to shoot and everything.
Yeah, we were shooting. It's super weird on set though.
Oh
Just
yeah.
like, yeah,
Is there less people or is it just kind of like mass and
that's what I would have thought is that there would be
Mhm.
less people, but it looks like the same.
Mhm.
Everyone's just like, I have to get tested twice a week.
For
Um,
COVID?
yeah, but it's like, luckily it's not the one that goes like all the way up to your brain.
Oh,
It just
okay,
kind of like,
yeah.
it's like really, really easy. But twice a week, it's just really annoying. And you wear your mask on set, obviously, the whole time. There's different zones. So actors are like zone A, crew is like zone C, hair and makeup is something else. And you can only use the bathroom of your zone and you can only hang out in your zone's areas. And
Wow.
there's designated eating spots. You can't eat outside of like these little tents unless you're in your trailer. Um, I almost got in so much trouble for grabbing a tangerine from craft service.
Really?
I didn't know there were like crafty waiters. You know, I thought like, I asked, I was like, hey, where's craft service? And like, oh yeah, just go through here. And I go inside and there's no one there. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I can just grab a tangerine as a
Right.
normal person. And some guy like comes around and I see this like glass wall or like this plastic wall. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm on the wrong side of it. And he's like, he looks at me, he's like, hey, the actress in trailer 23 needs her food. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, she's waiting. Didn't they put the order in? I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm in the show. And he's like, what are you doing back there? I was like, oh, I freaked out. I was like,
They,
no.
you contaminated all the food.
I know. There were like 10 people lined up on the other side, like, you have to get out of there. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get fired.
Oh
I grabbed my tangerine and I ran.
At least you got the tangerine out of it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I can't even imagine, you know, having to figure
Yeah.
out all that like distancing and COVID tests, and wow, that's crazy. Twice a week that they're having you do that. At least, yeah, like you said, at least it's not I had to do it once, and like that hurts so bad when they
It
shove it all
hurts.
day up there.
Oh my
It's
God.
crazy.
You can't help but like blink one eye and you're like,
Yeah,
ah.
you're like choking and like mucus is just spewing out of you because you can't breathe with this thing up in your brain. Yeah, well, that's good that they have like a little nose swabber, like an
I don't think
easier
it's
one.
accurate. I don't think it's
Probably
accurate.
not. I was almost thinking that too. I thought you were gonna say you got like a blood test or like a finger prick or something.
Yeah, no, I think it's not real. I mean, no, COVID is real. I mean, this test isn't real.
Yeah, they just have like
You
a
know?
bag of cotton swabs. They just put it in your nose and throw it in the trash. Oh my. Well, at least you got the EP. When's the EP coming out?
I
So
wish
the
I could
next
tell
song is
you.
the next
The
song is in
next song
November
is
though.
November 27th, and then I think they're shooting for like mid-December for the whole EP.
And it's completely recorded though. It's done.
Yeah, it's completely recorded.
What about music videos? Are you doing those?
I would love to. Like I said, I'm in Vancouver right now and I don't know anyone here.
Uh-huh.
And then I have like a month maybe in December between now and like between this show and Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have time and if someone wants to film a music video during Christmas, then yeah, 100% I would love to.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, maybe you'll get one done during Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Alexa, for talking with me today. I really appreciate
Yeah, of
it.
course. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, I do have, well, I have one more question. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
This is going to sound so cliche and so cheesy, but like, don't listen to anyone. Like, don't let anyone get in your head about anything, because just like keep whatever's in your head and whatever you are working towards in mind and block out everything else.